All right, folks, we'll be with you in a little bit less than a minute. Just need to make sure all our channels are being fed the live stream. Data is being sent out to our Facebook channels, it's being sent out to YouTube, and it is being sent out to X. We want to thank everybody who watches us, whether you do it at lunchtime on Thursdays or watch it any other time after that. Officer Stubbs, if you're listening, we appreciate the fact that you listen to us. You mentioned that the other night at the Seafort lacrosse games that you enjoy listening to us. So we appreciate that. All right, we're streaming on our Facebook channel, on our YouTube channel, and on, let me see, X. And on X. So we are going to be good to go. Let me silence the ambient music. I'm waiting for it to save up here. All right, folks, Gene Gallen here with the Chatham Journal. I got Ashibo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record. And boy, does Ashibo have a whole bunch of stuff for you to go over with him today. First of all, 1A and 2A track and field state championships. Ashibo was out there for 2 days covering both those. So he's got lots of good news about what Chatham County high schoolers are doing out there. Spring sports playoffs are here. We're going to talk about the results. We're going to touch on golf, softball, baseball, soccer, lacrosse, and also volleyball. Then the big thing tonight is two of the Chatham County girls soccer teams are still in the playoffs, and if they win tonight, they go to the championship games next week. We'll talk a little bit about the new Pittsburgh skate park. It's not open yet, so do not go out there try to ride around. And then we'll do a quick roundup of anything left over. We'll talk about the 5 Chatham County students who committed yesterday to next level of play in college. And then Ashibo will bring out to you what stories he's got in this week's Chatham News and Record newspaper that comes out every Thursday. So if you haven't picked up a copy yet, go ahead and do that. And then everybody's favorite, Ashibo's Athlete of the Week. It's a good one this week. Actually, it's a good one every week, but we'll have this one coming out. And then, again, don't forget to follow Ashibo on Ashibo R38 on X. And then we'll talk about what things we may be following up. Oh, also Legion Baseball is going on right now, so we may touch on that as well. So let me get rid of this design. There we go. See, I'm trying to do so many things today with the music and everything. And if somebody wants to design a piece of music for us, that's fine. You won't get paid anything, but you can design it. All right, Ashibo. Let's kick off 1A, 2A track and field state championships. You were out there, so I'll let you run with it. Tell everybody how well the Chatham County student athletes did.
Yeah, student athletes did very well. Biggest story from the 1A and 2A track meets was Seaforth boys team winning the 2A outdoor meet. So that's their first outdoor title after winning their first indoor title just a couple months ago. And the boys did it in a very surprising fashion there at the end. They were up actually in leading the team score. So they were in a good spot to win the state title before the 4x4. But going into that one, up a couple points from Brevard, who was seated pretty high in the 4x4. Seaforth was seated 7th in the 4x4. And their team of senior Sebastian Calderon, freshman Paul Quickie, senior Walter Entrekin, and senior Will Quickie, they set a new meet record and won the state title in that event by 3 minutes. Well, the time of 3 minutes, 21.34 seconds to secure the state title for the boys team. And it was just a great finish for a great day for Seaforth and some of our other Chatham County athletes in 2A. So Seaforth, state champions throughout the 2A meet. We had, of course, that 4x4 team for Seaforth. Jack Anstrom from Seaforth, he also defended his 1,600 and 3,200 meter titles. And Will Quickly also defended his 800 meter title. And then we have some field events with Claire Morgan from Seaforth winning the girls pole vault with a mark of 9.6. And Benjamin Altenberg from Northwood winning pole vault with a mark of 15.1. And we'll talk more about that later. It was a battle between two Chatham County pole vaulters, between Altenburg and indoor state champion from this past winter, Ryan Yoder at Seaforth. And we'll talk more about that later on in the stream. And so, yeah, those were the state champions on top of that 4x4. Looking at some of the other athletes that scored some points and had some pretty high finishes. We had Northwood senior Julia Hall finishing second in the 2A girls 3,200 meter with a personal best time. And she scored 11 points for Northwood as a whole in her meet performance. Jada Everson from Northwood as well. She earned some points, finishing seventh in the girls discus. And then also on the Northwood boys team, Luke Wallstein, he was a jumper for them, finishing eighth place in the high jump, so earning a point there for the Chargers. And Jordan Matthews had two jumpers that did pretty well in the high jump and triple jump. So their senior, Rachel Woods, who we did a feature on a couple weeks ago when she committed to, signed to North Carolina Central's track and field team. She finished third in the 2A girls long jump with a mark of 17.3 and sixth in the triple jump, earning 9 points for Jordan Matthews girls. And then Kamari Hadley, who we've also watched on the basketball team, he competed out here in the long jump, earned fourth in that one, and got 5 points for his team. So great things from Jordan Matthews. And then on the 1A side, Woods Charter had some point scorers. Senior Anna Pillar, she earned 4 points with a seventh place finish in the girls 1,600 and an eighth place finish in the 800 and 3,200 meter run. So great day for Anna Pillar. And then they also had a 4x8 team with Michaela Valentine, Dana Sudhir, Sophia Rodriguez, and Dara Sudhir. They earned 2 points for a seventh place finish in the 4x8 for Woods Charter's girls. And on the boys' side, the Wolves had a team of Ezra Roebuck, Wyatt Webster, Jackson Selleck, and Dylan Villanueva earning 3 points for finishing sixth in the boys' 4x4. And as a team, Woods Charter finished 23rd on the girls' side and on 44th on the boys' side. And then Chatham Charter also had some in the 1A, scored some points with Taurus Price on the boys' side, scoring 2 points for a seventh place finish in the boys 1,600 meter run with a personal best time. And he put them at 47th in the boys standings in the 1A team scores. So, yeah, those are state champions scores from the 1A, 2A meets. We also other teams and athletes that might not have scored points but still did very well. One of the ones I went out there to look at specifically was the Chatham Central boys 4x1 team that qualified for states with Reed Albright, Nick Glover, Tyler Gongrove, and I can't remember the last name. I'll get that for you. But yeah, that team did pretty well. I think they finished 3 spots from the bottom with a time of 44.88, if I'm not mistaken, in the 4x1. So yeah, congrats to all of our athletes who did really well at the 1A and 2A state meets.
All right, so it sounds like the Chatham County student athletes in track and field did pretty well. And but again, there's a bunch of playoffs that have come to an end. There's a few that are still going on. There's a few playoffs that are going on that unfortunately Chatham County teams haven't proceeded. So Ashiba will continue to give you folks a rundown on those.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It was Elijah Turner. That was the fourth one in Chatham Central's boys 4x1 team. Just wanted to make sure I got his name in there as well. But yeah, the playoffs this week, right? Like Gene said, we had baseball, softball finishing up last week, Tuesday, in the third round. So we continued this week with lacrosse and girls soccer. Starting with lacrosse, because last night we had both of our teams that were left in the second or third round, depending on where the playoffs started for each side. So starting with boys lacrosse, in the second round earlier this week, C4 3 seed, they beat Havelock 21-5. And Northwood, they fell to Union Pines 10-6 in a 4 seed versus 13 seed matchup. So Northwood season ended in earlier this week, but C4 kept going. They played on last night against number 6 Orange in a Central/Mid Carolina conference showdown. Of course, those are the top 2 teams. The C4 taking the nod for the conference champion based on RPI and getting the higher seed. So this is their third time playing this year. They split the regular season, and this time Orange beat Seaforth again, 10-8, same score as the last time they played in April. And Seaforth, they got off to a hot start. Gene and I were watching, got off to a hot start. They were up 4-1 after the end of the first quarter, but something switched with Orange in the second quarter. They started out hustling Seaforth to a lot more of those loose balls, controlling much of the possession. And then by halftime, they were up 6-4, and Seaforth didn't score again for the rest of the half. And then, Orange just never looked back from there. They never gave up that lead. And even though Seaforth tried to make a push late, it was just too little, too late for the Hawks, and their season ended in a heartbreaking one. And yeah, just to kind of give more on their season, I mean, record-breaking season for them. I think a program high 18 wins, and they get once again to this round of the playoffs once again. Feel pretty good coming into this one, and wanted to advance past this round for the first time in program history, but just fell short. But talking to their head coach, Joe Hubbard, was a great guy, great coach. He really, Gene can speak on this as well. He really made it a point to highlight his seniors, Cameron Exley, Lane Armstrong, Jackson Powell, just to name a few, who were really impactful for the program and helped build this program to where it is today. And they also have a lot of good things to look forward to next year, though, right? With Ivan Grimes coming back, really, really dynamic goal scorer who can make some moves in the open field and put some points on the board, as well as some talented freshmen that played this year, like Tyler Watkins, who did a lot for them this year, and they'll have some guys that they're excited for coming up from the 8th grade level. So, yeah, Seaforth Boys Lacrosse is in a good spot. I think last night, just heartbreaking loss to go up against a team you've played 3 times, a really good team in Orange that's really experienced. And fortunately for Seaforth, they will get to battle Orange again because they're going to be in the same conference next year. So they'll get to see them a lot more in a couple of years. But Gene, you have any words on what we saw last night from Seaforth Boys Lacrosse?
Yeah, I think you mentioned, again, they're going to be in the same conference next year. And I heard somebody say that may become a big rivalry while they're all in the same conference. It's kind of old school for folks that have been around here long enough. Orange used to combat Northwood a whole bunch as well. So now they're going to be in the same conference as Seaforth. I think the other neat thing is Shibo usually will talk to a couple of players and a coach. But again, the team lost the other night, Tuesday night. And so we just talked to the coach, and Shibo had a bunch of questions for him. And the nice thing the coach had mentioned, he's talking about his seniors. And I think Shibo makes the point that those seniors started out 4 years ago as freshmen. So the coach saw a lot of development. I think he noted he was proud of the leadership the seniors exhibited. And I think, as Shibo just mentioned, the fact that leadership taught the younger players to be better at what they do and to develop. And I think, as Shibo said, and the coach reinforced the fact that the guys are upset about their loss on Tuesday, but when they look back at it, they'll understand that they had a very good season and that it's a program to build on. Folks have been in Chatham County long enough to remember when Carborough was the new school in the area, and they started out, and it was a rough start for them. But again, Seaforth, after just 4 years playing lacrosse, getting as far as they did and I think the championship in Durham Park. The other thing, talking about conferences, is yes, Seaforth and Orange will be in the same conference. However, both Jared and Cameron, the ADs at both schools at Seaforth and Northwood, have mentioned that they're going to try to continue to play each other every season. So any season, like basketball, they'll try to play a home and home series. On football, they'll rotate back and forth. And I do know that they are going to be playing a football game between the two teams this upcoming season. So that's a lot to look forward to. And Shibo's done a nice job being out there covering that stuff. Because you were out there for the girls' game as well as the boys' game, weren't you?
Yep.
All right.
Girls lacrosse game.
Talk about the girls' game.
Yep. And we can start with actually the first round, because they started their playoffs, I think the round after the boys. So they started last week on Friday. And to start the playoffs, Seaforth, 4 seed, would have against number 13 Cape Fear, and dominated them 13-1. Thanks to Natalie Becky. She had 6 goals in that one. And then for Northwood, they lost a tough one to number 5 Swansboro, 21-4. And that set up Seaforth and Swansboro last night in their second round game. So yeah, we could have got a Seaforth Northwood game, but Swansboro came out of the first round, and Swansboro, the 7th seed, came in and won that one 7-6. They got out to a pretty good start, and they had Seaforth had no answer for Addison King at Swansboro. She had plenty of goals in this one. Just a tall girl going in the middle, just barreling her way through some defenders and hitting some tough shots. And they just couldn't really contain her in this game, so they jumped out to a 6-2 lead. And I think at halftime or in the third quarter, Seaforth took a timeout, had to regroup, and they actually came out rejuvenated. They actually went on a run and got it down to, like we said, 7-6 before the end of regulation. They just the same thing as the boys. Too little, too late at the end of the game there, and their comeback effort fell just short. But also a great season for them. I think they had also the most wins in program history this season. They have a lot of great players coming back for them as well, like Mia Moore, of course, Natalie Becky, who's only just a sophomore this year and then was one of their best players all season. So yeah, we'll probably be, like I said, and also for Northwood too, we'll probably be covering lacrosse deep into the playoffs once again next year, because both of these programs and all of our programs in the county have a bright future.
All right, so that's it for the lacrosse boys and girls. We got soccer coming up next, and on the soccer side, we still got some action going on in the playoffs, don't we? Including especially tonight.
Yep, soccer has provided us probably some of the most exhilarating games as far as that edge of your seat, late game moments. So a lot of close games, not many blowouts as we've seen from some of our programs this season in the regular season. It's all been great competition here in the playoffs. So second round earlier this week, in the 1A side, we have Woods Charter, number 2 seed, going up against, well, actually this was last week, going up against number 15 Roxborough Academy, and they won that one 6-3. And they got 3 goals from Lucy Poitras in that one. And then on the 2A side, Seaforth, we were there, Gene. We saw them play number 13 NCSSM Durham and win that one 1-0. That one was tied 0-0 at halftime. I mean, NCSSM Durham came in, a team full of juniors and seniors, right? Because that's all they have at that school. So they come in, experience a really physical defensive team, and they put it on Seaforth in that first half, pretty much the whole game. And Seaforth only got the goal from Sophia Viana on the free kick there in the second half. But the name of the game is to survive and advance. So the Hawks knew that was an ugly one. They got some good saves from Katie Leonard as well, and they advanced to the third round, which was Monday night. And I went out to Woods to see them take on number 10 Voyager, and also met the new Woods AD, Jordan Gatcombe. If you guys remember, that was a story we had a couple of weeks ago. She's coming over from Voyager. But Woods, they won that one 1-0. Like you said, Annabelle Una knocked in the goal to win the game early in the second half. And yeah, same thing we saw with Seaforth and NCSSM Durham. They went up against a really physical defensive team, and both sides really playing some really good defense. But I think the first half, Woods had a lot of opportunities to score. They just couldn't go in. So, talk to Annabelle about her ability to get the goal in. She said she just kept pushing. She looked to her corners, but there really wasn't much in front of her except her and the goalie. She just had some defenders on the side. She just kept pushing and took her time and got the goal to go. So they just needed one to win that one. Heard that from a great soccer coach in the county, Paul Quadros at Jordan Matthews, who always says you only need one to win these games. So, yeah. And then also, too, in the third round on the 2A side, we had number 4 Seaforth going up against number 5 Manio and winning that one in 3 overtimes. Had to come back home from the Woods game and finish that one on NFHS. And yeah, Seaforth actually trailed for the first time in a long time. I think for the first time since March, early in the regular season. They trailed 1-0 after a goal from Manio on the end of the first half. And then about 20 minutes left in the second half, they get the tie with a rebound from Amara Darden off of a free kick. And so that sends it into overtime after both teams remain scoreless through the rest of the regulation. They go through the first 2 10-minute periods without scoring. And then here they get to the third overtime period, 5 minutes, golden goal, sudden death. And they get a good look from the connection between Viana and Erman, 10-2. That was working all last year, all this year as well. Viana just found Erman to the left, and she knocked it in with a goal that went over the goalie's head and into the back of the net. So yeah, that one put Seaforth into the fourth round tonight. Fourth round matchup, Seaforth is going to Franklin Academy to take on the undefeated Franklin Academy #1 seed at Wake Prep. That's going to be at 7 o'clock. And then Woods Charter is going to host #3 Lejeune at Briar Chapel Park at 6 o'clock.
All right, now we don't predict scores here. However, let's talk a little bit about the games tonight, because both games are important. Because if they win, they go on to the championship game next week. If they lose, they stay home. You want to take a look at Franklin versus Seaforth first?
Yeah, Franklin versus Seaforth, and they move on to the regional championship first before state. So still two more games before state. But this is a rematch in the fourth round from last year, right? Or Seaforth went to Franklin Academy, played them on their field. Now we know that was kind of controversial because Franklin Academy did have a little bit of a smaller field from what Coach Viana had saw, and we were out there. They had no lights as well, so they had to play a little bit of that one in the dark. But they'll be at Wake Prep this time around. So the field and elements and things like that shouldn't be much of an issue. But last year was closely contested, regardless of that. And I think that Seaforth won that one 1-0. So I'm expecting another tight one again tonight between those two. I do think Seaforth is I think both teams are equally as battle tested. But I think Seaforth, the experience of getting through a game like that last year, they're coming in with a little bit more confidence. I think than Franklin Academy, knowing they've been here, played this exact team. Well, not the exact same team, but some of these same players on this stage before. And they found ways to win in this playoff run, like we've seen with the Manual game, with the NCSSM Durham game. They've seen some bumps in this playoff run that Franklin Academy might not have seen so much. They did have a tough game against Northwood in the second round. Northwood played them pretty tight, and Franklin pulled away at the end. But Seaforth has been in these games where they've trailed. They've had to win it overtime, like we just talked about. They've had to come up, big on free kicks and score there. They're finding ways to win. And I know with Seaforth, Sophia Viana, their top player, she's been dealing with an illness throughout the end of the season. So she's getting back healthy as time goes on, game by game. So I think with Seaforth, what they have, not just with Viana and Erman, they're veterans, but they also have some great young players as well with Darden and some other players that can make a big impact on the defensive side. I do think Seaforth wins tonight, finds a way to win again, but it'll be a close one. I'm expecting another 1-0, maybe 2-0 or 2-1 battle here tonight on that end. And for Woods, playing against Lejeune, a team that has dominated their conference, I think they have 18 wins on the year. 18-0-1 was their record, so they've only tied one game. They haven't really lost yet. That would be interesting. Kind of the same thing with being battle tested in the schedule you play. Woods played a pretty tough schedule, especially early on this year. They went up against some really good non-conference teams, and I think one of the biggest games that they've learned from was the one me and Gene were at a couple of weeks ago when they played Franklin Academy. And I talked to the head coach, Graham Stewart. That was a big one. He said, that's why we play these games. So when you're in a game like you are against Voyager Academy, another good team that they're playing at home, and you're in a tight battle, you learn from your mistakes and you know how to win in those types of games. And even against Franklin Academy, Woods held their own for a good part of that game. It was just about 10, 15 minutes where it got out of hand. So I think Woods, with some of the experience they got this year and the confidence they've built in this playoff run, because, talking to Coach Stewart, he was talking about how this team is young, they're still learning, and he wasn't really too sure if this was going to be a team that could, get all the way back to the state title like they did the 3 years prior, especially after losing, I think, 10 seniors off of last year's team. And now they're the number 2 seed, right back in the same position to get, in the position to get back to the regional final again. So at home, I think it's going to be tough to beat Woods. This Woods team that's been experienced, a coach like Graham Stewart, who knows how to get his girls ready for this moment. I think Woods pulls this one out too, but in a close one, because with June, right? You don't go 18-1 for no reason. That's a really good team that they're going to be playing tonight, and I think the Wolves get it done in a close one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think a lot of it depends on look. Both teams for Woods and Seaforth, they have the talent and the ability to win. They just have to out hustle the other teams. You and I have been to several games where we've seen where you may have athletes of the same abilities, but it's the ones that out hustle, go that extra effort to get that ball, or try to run faster than, and even if they don't get to the ball first, they're putting enough pressure on the other side to make a difference. And I think that's both coaches on both sides are emphasizing that for both Seaforth and Woods. And I think, as you mentioned, Seaforth's gone through some injuries and some illnesses the last few weeks, but hopefully they're all close to 100%. Because I think there was one game you and I were at where Sophia was in it, but she still hadn't fully recovered, and you could just tell in that second half of that game, it was she wasn't the Sophia that we all know and love. So, ladies, Woods and Seaforth, good luck tonight. And I think both those games start at 7. Is that correct?
Seaforth is playing at 7, and Woods will start at 6 tonight.
Okay, so Woods is at 6, Seaforth's at 7. All right, next thing I had on here, and this is going to be quick, is I stopped by the Pittsboro Skate Park, and that's located behind the Sheriff's Department. So if you misbehave on the skate park, the sheriff's right there. The park I think the skate portion of it has been complete. However, it's not open yet. We were talking to Teresa Thompson at lunch yesterday, and they mentioned that they need to complete putting up fencing around that for safety purposes. So don't know the grand opening date, ribbon cutting on that, but that's something they've been working on. So although the skate portion of it is completed, there still needs to be done some work on the exterior, and we will provide you with that information as it becomes available. That's all I got on the Pittsboro Skate Park. Actually ran into a couple of guys drove all the way from Raleigh to check out the skate park. And they said, "Oh, wow, this is kind of small." I'm like, "Hey, you're in Pittsboro. We're not Raleigh." But they were both impressed by the setup and thought that it was well designed and well built for use. So it wasn't just, they said that there were some challenges, good challenges in this skate park. All right. That gets rid of the skate park. Ashibo, you want to wrap it up as to anything we need to wrap up about lacrosse, soccer, softball, baseball, volleyball, golf, track and field, and volleyball? Did I mention volleyball? I mentioned volleyball twice, I think. Anything before we get to what stories you have?
If you want to, we can actually talk about American Legion too, as far as baseball going on.
Sure, let's do
that. American Legion, they started on Sunday. They lost their first game Sunday to Davidson County Post 8-9-4. And that one was just difference in being able to hit the ball. Davidson County had 10. Chatham only came away with 4 hits in that one. But in Wednesday, last night, they did get their first win of the season against Garden Nationals, 8-0. And that one, Daniel White from Seaforth, he's on the team this year. He went 2 for 3 with 2 runs. And Anthony LaPasse, remember the pitcher at Chatham Central last year, went on, I think he was at Cleveland Community College this past season, through 7 strikeouts for Chatham Legion. So, always great time to go out to the Chatham Legion. They're post 305 this year. And, of course, it was guys from the county, first-year college players from the county or the surrounding areas, Moore County, Randolph, come together on one team in the summer, play some great baseball, and a lot of the community comes out to support. It's always a great time, and they play their home games at Jordan Matthews. And, of course, in the paper, we had a story come out last week with their schedule, and you could find that there. And also Chatham Post 292 in the Heroes League for softball. They'll be getting started soon. I saw their Facebook page. They have a schedule out for a 16U team, and I'll check with them to see if I can get one for the 18U team. But like we said, they'll be getting started pretty soon as well. So we'll have plenty of baseball, softball with some of our county athletes to cover this summer. But I think that's all we have for sports going on now. Gene, you ready to get into athlete of the week?
Yeah, but before we get that, one thing that we talked about, neither one of us could make this yesterday, but let me bring up the picture of what went on at Chatham Central yesterday. Let me bring up the picture first, and then we will talk about it. Waiting for it to pop up. And yeah, this is going to look a little weird, but we'll just bring it up. All right, there it goes. Yeah, Ashibo's there, and I'm here. Yesterday, you had 5 student athletes from the Chatham Central Bears commit to, well, they already committed, but yesterday was kind of the official declaration. And there's a rundown of the folks. You got Kaylee there, Luke. He's going football. I don't know.
Luke Gaines going to football, going to Guilford for football. Carolee Dodson, who played basketball and volleyball, she's going to Meredith for volleyball, and Kaylee Wharf from softball, the catcher. She's going to be moving on to NC Wesleyan. We got Brennan Oldham, of course, basketball standout for the Bears last season. He's going to be taking his talents to Catawba Valley Community College, and then Chloe Scott is going to be also headed to Meredith, but for basketball. So, yep.
Yeah, congratulations to all those student athletes. It's been a pleasure watching them play. Ashibo and I have seen all of those folks playing, and I hope they do well in college. And we want to thank Chatham Central for posting that picture so we could share it with them. I think for next season when we're doing our live stream, I'm going to try to incorporate more graphics. But again, Scrum method, we try to improve over time. All right, Ashibo, before we go into, let me hit the hide button here. There we go. Before we go into athlete of the week, did you want to talk about what you had coming out in the paper today, or do you want to hit athlete of the week first and then talk about what you have in the paper today?
Actually, yeah, we can do the paper first and then finish up with athlete of the week. So, yeah, coming out this week in the paper, we have, of course, story from the 2A and 1A track and field titles, highlighted by Seaforth's boys winning the outdoor title. And then we have a roundup of the first 3 rounds of girls soccer. So from last week to Monday, you can read about all the action that went on, how those games went, and who they're going to be playing, like we said, tonight. We have a roundup of the end of baseball and softball. We talked about it in last week's stream, but we have more on those games and how those games went for our county teams last week. And we also have a roundup highlighting the Seaforth boys golf team. They finished 3rd at the state championships this week in Pinehurst, number 6. Yeah, defending champion Ty Willoughby from Seaforth finishing 4th, and right behind them was Griffin Ching, also from Seaforth, finishing in 5th in the 2A competition. And we also had some other individuals do well in place in the state competition. Jordan Matthews Jr., Ben Buckner are in 46th place in 2A, and you also had Jackson Freeman from Northwood placing tied for 58th in 2A as well. And on the 1A level, they only played 1 round because of the rain earlier last week. And in that one, you had Chatham Central earning a 9th place finish as a team. Junior Tyler Meismer from the Bears shot 78 and finished 12th. So pretty high finish for him. And Jesse Eskelin, also from Chatham Central, tied for 43rd. Stephen Moody tied for 73rd, and Gavin Vanderford was tied with him for 73rd. And then Chatham Charter had a golfer, junior Caden Parimba, representing, of course, his team by himself, and finished tied for 76 with a score of 93. So, yep, just a quick recap of the golf championships from last week. And then we'll also have a couple of shorter stories, of course, on Drake Powell, what he did at the NBA Draft Combine last week, and kind of some of the things he said in his interviews, what he's kind of hoping to be in the NBA. And yeah, he had a really great day showing out his athleticism, ranked really high in a lot of the athletic tests. I think he was, of course, the highest in the standing vertical leap and max vertical leap, and finished top 10 in some other things like the shuttle run, the 3/4 sprint, and the pro land agility drill. So great showing for him at the combine. And then we'll also have a story on a former Northwood golfer moving one step closer to a bid to the U.S. Open. Jake Conklin, if you guys remember him, he graduated in 2022, and he finished tied second for the state in the 2021 3A state championship and seventh in the 2022 3A state championship. So pretty great golfer there at Northwood. And he went on to Barton to compete on their men's team. So he finished second in the local qualifier at River Landing in Wallace on May 7th. And of course, only the top 5 out of 84 golfers from there moved on to the final qualifying round, which will be played at any of the, I think it's 3 international, 10 American sites from May 19th to June 2nd. I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing on June 2nd. We just don't know exactly where he's going to be at for his qualifying round, but we'll keep an eye on it and see if he'll earn a bid to the U.S. Open, which is going to be in Oakmont Country Club in Pennsylvania, of course, from June 12th to the 15th.
All right, and now the big news of the week: Ashibo's Athlete of the Week. Why don't you toss it out there, Ashibo, and let everyone know who's your Athlete of the Week this week?
Yeah, so I said we were going to talk about that pole vault battle between Ben and Ryan later on the stream, and here we go. We're going to give the Athlete of the Week to Benjamin Altenberg from the Northwood Boys and Track and Field team for winning the pole vault competition. He's a sophomore, came in holding the Northwood pole vault record, and came in kind of besting his own record, and in that one, going up against the indoor state champion Ryan Yoder. They were the only ones to hit 13.6, so they moved on to as the top 2 and battled it out for a couple more levels until the end. They got the 14, and I just remember this vividly watching it. I remember Benjamin going up for his first attempt, and he didn't go all the way. He didn't even go up. He had stopped short of vaulting and had to go back and recollect himself. Ryan hit 14, no problem, the first try. Then Benjamin hit it his second time. So they both cleared 14.6 the first time. And I think that was getting close to or passing Benjamin's PR. So we're now going into 15. They both missed their first 2 attempts. And then Benjamin hits his third attempt. So he, clears his PR. And Ryan goes up for his last attempt, doesn't get it. And the championship is given to Ben at that point. Ben says, let's raise it up to 15-1. He hits it there. And that's how the championship ended for pole vault on the 2A level. So, yeah, that was a great battle to watch between two county athletes. And, congrats to Ben for pulling that one out and continuing to be a record-breaking pole vaulter at Northwood. So maybe next talk to him after, his goal is to maybe keep breaking his own personal record, but maybe possibly break a state record because he still has 2 more years. He's only a sophomore, so we'll see what he can do in these next 2.
Yeah, I think Benjamin really wanted to be your Athlete of the Week and put in that extra effort. So Benjamin, hey, congratulations, and we're proud of you, and I know your folks are proud of you. Your teammates and classmates are all proud of you. So Benjamin, congratulations on being Ashibo's Athlete of the Week this week. All right. I have no idea where I'm going to be because I do know, but I'm doing ACC stuff the next few days, so I'm not going to be in the county. But Ashibo, what you got coming up that you're thinking you're going to be attending?
Yeah, right now I know for sure I'm going to be at Wake Prep tonight. I'm going to make the drive up there to Wake County to catch C4's girls soccer play against Franklin Academy. Definitely probably one of the best girls soccer games in the state tonight. Of course, that's a rematch, like we said, of last year's 4th round. That was highly competitive. So, yeah, I'm going to catch that one tonight, and I'll be keeping up with the scores at Woods as well. And, of course, later tonight I'll have all the scores from girls soccer from both games out, and if we'll have a 5th round team, we'll also report where they're going next. So, yep, that's where I'll be at tonight, and we'll see for the next few days. Not too sure because everything's slowing down now. We're kind of nearing the end of the high school season, and we'll get into the summer pretty soon. So.
Yep, and folks, it's been a really busy, and the thing is, the Chatham County athletes have been doing well, so a lot of stuff has been getting squashed into a short period of time. I've got to get some pictures up from the lacrosse game. PJ's got get some pictures up from the lacrosse game, and those should be next week's Chatham News and Record. So stay tuned for that. And then a reminder: see below, you can see right there is Ashibo R38 on X. So if you can't make it out to the Woods game or the Seaford girls game, just follow him, and he will be posting information out there and doing post game interviews if he's got a chance. And I think that's about it, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Again, every week we're averaging over 1,000 viewers, and we appreciate you watching us. Come back next Thursday, noontime, same time, and we'll be providing you with a whole bunch of information. And I personally am hoping Seaforth and Woods do well in the girls' soccer team, so we have more stuff to talk about next week. All right, Ashibo, anything else before we close out?
No, I think we got it all covered this week. Yep, thanks.
All right, folks. Yeah, we were like a 40 minutes. We went over our 30 minutes, but no worries. You got plenty of information. And look, if you're not getting enough information, you need to be watching us every Thursday. And Ashibo does most of the talking because he knows more about this than I do. I'm just there to take pictures. Ashibo, thanks as always. And folks,